We're often asked how and where our documentary ideas germinate. The answers are usually a mixture of a complex cocktail or as benign as how this one came to life, over a glass of wine. The suggestion was to visit a tiny island 215 miles off the coast of South America. We were enticed by the allure of telling the story through the eyes of 120 students between the ages of 15 to 19. To complicate matters, the island, and by extension its mother country, have the world's worst performing economy, despite having the world's largest oil reserves. To further confuse us, the entire expedition was meant to be performed in another language. The quest to tell an untold story through teenage eyes, world events, and in a foreign language was too irresistible. So, in this episode, we present Untold Stories, Me, Them, and Margarita. The history books place Christopher Columbus as the first European to arrive on Margarita Island in 1498. There he was greeted by the Guaqueires people and an abundance of pearls which lined the coast and enticed visitors. This would later represent 1/3 of all New World tribute to the Spanish crown. The island gained independence from Spain in 1814 after the collapse of the First Republic of Venezuela. Margarita's 420,000 inhabitants join over 400 million people worldwide in speaking the world's second most popular language. Interestingly, Spanish is the main language in 21 sovereign states. English is spoken in over 112 countries, yet there are more Spanish speakers worldwide than English.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo están? Muy bien.
Spanish is a phonetic language, which means you pronounce letters consistently. The link between sounds and letters means words are spelled as they sound, making it one of the easiest languages to learn.
La persona, tercera persona. Punto de vista narrativa.
As of 2018, an estimated 18 million students are currently studying Spanish as a foreign language, and forecasts indicate that within a generation, more than 10% of the world's population will converse in the language. For over 30 years, Sally Mohammed has been la profesora de español, injecting la influencia y el interés en español, and the principal organizer for the Spanish Language Educational Exchange Tour for St. Lucian students.
When we teach Spanish, we're supposed to teach, it's supposed to be a marriage of language, culture, everything. So I wanted my students to experience the different food, the way that people live, to interact with them, and to experience a different kind of culture and make a comparison with their country.
This trip was first organized 15 years ago. Its mission and mandate remain the same today. The organization of said trip, however, has evolved with a structured organizing committee who oversee the myriad of logistics for a trip of this magnitude.
I do all the chartering of the plane, and I do everything in Margarita. Antonia does the paperwork to get exemptions for us.
Form 4 students from 6 secondary schools and first and second year students from the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College will be making the linguistical pilgrimage this time around. $1,900 EC is extracted from each student, which covers airfare, accommodation, transportation, meals, trips, and tours. The exercise is developed as a rich educational immersion, doused with pockets of teenage fun and adventure.
Part of the prep is getting them ready to face the fact that they have to deal with native speakers in the context and in the environment of the native speaker, where essentially they need to survive. They're having issues with whatever it may be, from the airport to the hotel or anything they wish to share at all. They need to understand that they can't come running. They can't come running to their profe or the lecturer to say, well, miss, how do you say this? Miss, I'm having trouble with so and so. They have to know very early that they're going to be on their own in terms of the linguistic.
On the 22nd of February 2018, the Uranora International Airport was a scene of organized chaos, luggage, lines, check-in, the teary hugs and goodbyes of parents. Many first-time travelers handing over documents. Our ever-present film crew. Then, anxiously heading to Avion's Boeing 737.
To make the Yotier flow. Please mask or your nose and mouth assisted with the rubber and breathe normally.
I understood, like in case of emergencies, everything I had to go through, the process and all. But like I said, I said it in part because I didn't want to offend them if they might understand English. I only said, Makupon PS Baisi from Sarkadi, because it was super complicated what she was saying over the microphone.
It was a bit difficult, putting in the names to get to the places, and everybody was like, let me see yours, so they can put what you have and fill in where you have, so they don't feel like they're missing anything.
To write your surname.
One of the topics that they have to do for CXC is a topic on travel. So what I did is that our last month, January, we did that topic and we looked at it in detail, which included how to fill out a form for immigration, how to fill out your hotel form. We indicated to the boys that at immigration and at customs, they're basically on their own. They had the preparation, they knew how to fill out the forms, they knew some of the possible questions that could be asked. For example, at immigration, I said to them that you will expect somebody to perhaps ask you what your name was, where you're coming from, how long you are going to stay on the island. At customs, you expect that perhaps they might ask you whether you have anything to declare, and therefore they had to have been prepared with that kind of vocabulary. So we as teachers would not have been there to help them out, because the whole purpose of the trip is to give them an opportunity to experience the language in an authentic setting without the influence of the teacher to answer questions that they may have.
Once the bags had finally arrived, by 9:55, we were on the move. But our convoy was trailed by two mysterious motorcycles, bobbing and weaving through traffic to stay on our tail. Our destination, Margarita Village, where a special welcome reception awaited. When we returned, buses on the move, we were trailed by the suspicious motorcycles again, dolphins in captivity, and later we experienced the highest inflation rate in the world firsthand.
Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. People now, put a little love in your heart each and every day. Put a little love in your heart. There's no other way. Put a little
It's always the perfect time for parents.
Put a little love in your heart. Come on and put a
You've dreamt of it for far too long. Why wait? Let us help you live your dreams. St. Lucia Mortgage Finance Company Limited. Your way home.
For over 40 years, we've been a part of the financial landscape. From fishers to farmers, funding home improvements, construction, education, and of course, securing that little piece of paradise. We are committed to funding sustainable livelihoods in agriculture, financing your next set of wheels, and debt consolidation, all guided by in-house financial counseling. Why? Because to others, you are risk. To us, you are family. The Library Cooperative Credit Union. We're not a bank, we're better.
At Dutch Lady, we give you delicious and nutritious milk. We make sure our milk is filled with essential nutrients, calcium, vitamins, and protein. Dutch Lady gives everyone in the family a strong start to the day. Keep your family healthy and happy. Dutch Lady, building strong families since 1871.
I didn't understand half of anything they said. The guy asked, whether he should speak in Spanish or English, and he said Spanish, and the whole time I was lost. People were laughing and I was like, so nobody's going to share the joke with me? I was so lost.
As I got there, like everybody was all over the students from my school. Like everybody was so excited to meet us, and they were trying out their Spanish, and we were asking them different things we wanted to know in Spanish. So it was like a great interaction between the two of us.
I went to El Colegio Guayamuri, where I met some amazing students. I was paired with the seniors, and I must say the seniors were super funny. I was basically asking them a lot of questions, but at the same time they were asking me a lot because I want to know like how is school and all them things compared to ours, so I can compare it. Also, they wanted to know a lot of St. Lucia culture, so it's like the school basically was just a cultural exchange.
The students came up to us and they were talking to us about their jobs, and basically they work for $3 US a month as students, and we were just so amazed that somebody could, you know, even as a side job, but do a job for $3 US a month. We just found that absolutely crazy.
But then, to understand why this sounds absolutely crazy, we must rewind Venezuela's socio-economic clock. December 1998. Hugo Chavez is elected president of Venezuela, and his Bolivarian revolution soon begins with plans to tackle poverty and redistribute Venezuela's vast oil wealth. When Chavez came to power, oil was at $10 a barrel, but by 2004-2005, the price per barrel had risen to over $60 US. He had power and he had money, and so he decides on new forms of social policies that distribute the oil revenue in a more massive way to the populace.
Chavez is the punishment to the rich and the window of hope to the poor. May God look over him.
Chavez joined forces with his old pal Fidel Castro, who came up with an array of new social programs for healthcare, access to food, university education, and housing. What this was doing, though, was essentially using oil as that redemptive quality to bring social change while deepening the dependency on oil, which he did, while oil prices were high. With oil prices on the rise, Venezuela borrowed heavily to fuel their social programs, while gambling that the cost of crude oil would be sustained. The president then embarked on a very ad hoc and unorthodox process of nationalization. Nationalism involved regaining access to big state assets like the electricity sector, the oil industry, telecommunications, trucking, and cement companies. They also bought over the Bank of Venezuela. Then came a rapid increase of Venezuela's import bill, everything from medicine to clothes, cars, and agricultural products, much to the detriment of local industry. Between 2004 and 2014, Venezuela's public debt was sextupled, riding the wave of high oil prices. But everyone in the oil industry knows oil prices are cyclical. By 2012, oil accounted for 95% of Venezuela's exports. But as oil prices peaked, Chavez's health declined. As his battle with cancer took its toll, international lenders stopped lending to the country. Then, in March 2013, President Hugo Chavez died of cancer. By April, his handpicked successor, Nicolas Maduro, had won the presidency and inherited a legacy of oil dependency at a period when Venezuela had gone bust and the price of oil was dropping rapidly. Now, there was no money for the imports which they had grown accustomed to. Supermarket shelves quickly became bare, and Venezuela plummeted into chaos. Margarita felt the impact of that anarchy. At the time, the country's foreign debt stood at $150 billion. It is seeking to renegotiate its bond with bondholders. But sanctions imposed by the United States made it virtually impossible for Venezuela to roll over its debt. The collapse of economic activity that started in 2014 further deteriorated in 2015, and by 2017, the country had the world's worst performing economy and sank into a financial depression twice as bad as the Great Depression of the 1930s. It is expected that in 2018, the economy will contract by a further 15% and inflation is set to reach 13,000%. As students interact and exchange syllables, I negotiate to change $100 into bolivars. Because to trade currency is illegal, we cannot show the face of our roadside banker. Venezuela's currency is in freefall as hyperinflation intensifies. The rate on the black market, the place where most Venezuelans acquire dollars, $1 is equivalent to 225,000 bolivars. The official government set exchange rate, which is virtually inaccessible, is 10 bolivars per $. So in exchange for my crisp $100 note, I had to count 22,500,000 bolivars. After the school visit, we were able to meet up with the mysterious motorcyclist who trailed our bus from the airport. He is a physics professor who left teaching for a more profitable job in law enforcement. His salary is $6 per month.
Notaron que tú estabas en tu motocicleta anoche y quieres saber por qué estabas haciendo y por qué piensas que era necesario acompañarlo.
Bueno, porque el turismo para nosotros como margariteños, habitantes de este estado, consideramos que es de suma importancia y lo protegemos para prevenirlo, porque nos trae beneficios, nos trae beneficios económicos y riqueza cultural.
¿Piensas que hay riesgos en este tipo de viaje educativo que estamos?
El turista, por desconocimiento, tiene muchas dudas, pues, porque está conociendo el estado. Y es bueno que la asesoría sea de alguien de confianza.
Sí, pero especialmente para un viaje educativo planeado. No estamos hablando del turista normal. Este tipo de viaje planeado, todo planeado, okay, organizado. ¿Hay riesgos?
En algunos lugares sí.
Despite the economic situation, Margarita is a foreign shopper's haven once you can stitch the universal language, the Spanish. As the cash registers close, the buses roll out and the braves sneak in a snooze. It's back to Margarita village. And, like clockwork, the skies change color. And they're off to another adventure. When we return, Delfines en Captividad. We try to survive market day.
$20.
And later, we see the famous Venezuelan poverty line.
Are you Linda Joseph?
Yes.
You're late on your payments. I came to repossess the glasses.
Honey, who was that?
They report my glasses.
Honey, I told you. Had you gone to Vision Express and our credit union, you would have had 12 months to pay. and 0 interest. And the best part is, you get a second pair of glasses absolutely free. Copy boo!
Vision Express and your credit union. 12 months to pay off your glasses. No interest charges. No embarrassing debt collectors. Call us today at 457-7400.
I come in search of variety.
For me, it's the lowest prices on fresh fruits.
It's the ingredients which reminds me of home at prices I can enjoy.
A small store with big love.
Personalized service, which is surprisingly much cheaper than the giants. For me, it's finding a convenient hidden gem right off the Boadawaj Highway in the Trans-Caribbean building.
Susie's Variety. Small store. Big love. Open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Telephone 458-4161.
So, you've heard we have the widest variety of fresh fruit and vegetables. We specialize in Indian products, a variety of salt fish and ivory seasonings. Plus, we've expanded to serve you better. Still not sure where we're located? Okay, come with me. Susie's Variety. Small store, big love.
70% of all health decisions are influenced by lab results. Delivery of accurate, reliable, and timely results has been our mandate for over 20 years. We are Laboratory Services and Consultations Limited, generating hundreds of lab tests each year while delivering quality, personalized, confidential service, one client at a time. With a reliable network of regional and international partners, all tests are conducted with patient care in mind. Laboratory Services and Consultations Limited, saving lives and caring for people. We focus on results so you can focus on what's important. Telephone 459-2200.
Giverland is an opportunity for the students to relax and to enjoy a different setting that is not typical of St. Lucian life. I think too sometimes people question our motives for taking the students to an event where it seems to be simply fun, but a lot can be learned in activities like that. Apart from that, there is also a topic for the exams that requires them to talk about things that they do in extracurricular activities.
As much as it's entertaining, I don't like to see animals captive, wild animals captive. But the show was really nice because you were watching the dolphins doing all of these different tricks, and I think it was really interesting because I have never seen dolphins ever. So it was really interesting for me and it was entertaining.
first ride was the roller coaster, a really fast one. I don't remember the name, but that was my first time on a roller coaster as well. And the first time, I just closed my eyes.
On the roller coaster, and that was really scary. I cried after the first round. I was begging them to put me down before they went on to the second round, but everybody else cheering and it's overpowering my voice. Nobody know the end. I want to go down. I was feeling sick. I wanted to vomit. I was so scared.
The night's laughter, fun and games, mixed with the holiday aspect, seemed pale in comparison to what the staff at the hotel were experiencing. The average housekeeper earns $4 a month, and for many, the situation is impossible.
Mi nombre es Pedro José Bellorín. Siempre he trabajado aquí, voy y regreso y siempre con el turismo. Aquí tengo alrededor de 11 años. El salario mínimo de un venezolano viene siendo casi mensualmente 250 bolívares, 250,000 bolívares. Si lo cambio a dólar, vienen siendo ni $2. En elecciones por otra persona para tener otro presidente. Pero vemos muy difícil esa opción, ya que el presidente que está con todos los poderes que tiene, porque maneja prácticamente todos los poderes. Él tiene a su lado a los militares para reprimir a un pueblo, tiene a su lado al CNE, que es la persona encargada de contar los votos cuando van a una elección. Tiene muchos poderes nacionales que están a su favor. Y eso de elecciones transparentes no creo que tengamos aquí en Venezuela, si él va a estar a la mano con estas personas. Se habla mucho de hacer una revolución, aunque se vea imposible, porque siempre los militares reprimen, bien sea con la fuerza o bien sea con las armas.
Hacemos un repaso por los principales logros del pueblo en uno de los años más difíciles de la revolución bolivariana.
In his 2018 New Year's address, President Nicolas Maduro announced a 40% increase in the minimum wage as a protection for Venezuelans amid soaring inflation. Venezuelans now earn some 797,510 bolivars a month, factoring food tickets, or about $7 monthly. In 2017, prices of nearly all goods and services increased by 1,369% between January and November, according to figures released in early 2018 by the opposition-led Congress. The Venezuelan government no longer publishes inflation data on a regular basis. While filming at the city of Porlamar, we captured firsthand the reality on the ground. For the 130 students and teachers on this year's excursion to Margarita, generosity transcended ethnic and language barriers.
We had the kids prep by taking with them while they're packing their own items and what their necessities are. We had them pack basic necessities in terms of food items, flour, powdered milk, toothpaste, and things that we take for granted at home.
Day 3 was super packed with historical and adventure excursions. Their Spanish would be stretched to the limit as the entire tour was designed in the target language.
It's one thing to learn the grammar of a language, but I also think it's more important to understand the way people live, to understand their history, because that way it allows our children to be a lot more tolerant of each other, and that's something I believe is lacking in our day-to-day interactions with people.
Their first stop was a 16th century castle overlooking the Bay of Pompatar. The fort was destroyed by Dutch pirates in 1662 when they burnt the city. In subsequent years, the castle was destroyed and rebuilt several times. During the Venezuelan War, the revolutionary Luisa Carrices de Arizmendi, considered the heroine of the War of Independence, was held in the castle in 1816 while being moved to Castillo de Santa Rosa in La Asunción to a prison in La Gujera on the mainland. On November 3, 1816, the Spanish were forced to evacuate Margarita Island. After boarding all the soldiers and supplies, they left a lighted fuse leading to a pile of gunpowder that would have destroyed the castle. A revolutionary soldier noticed the fuse by accident and extinguished it before any damage was done. As busloads of students disembark, anxious shoppers scout the store for the famous Margaritan pearls. Margarita originated from the Greek word meaning pearl. The extraction of pearls reached its peak in the 16th century, yet today the stores still ride on this history despite selling counterfeit Chinese-made pearls. The students and teachers ignored history and authenticity and instead traded cash. Before long, the security personnel were escorting us to the next location. The vendors waited. The trinket trays lined the path with vendors who offered their best English to lure students. But once past the chaos, the most beautiful sight awaited. But the economic benefit of the tours and sites is still stifled by the malaise of a socialist country where freedom of expression is significantly hindered.
¿Cómo le ha afectado la situación económica en su país?
¿Cómo nos ha afectado la situación económica en el país? Demasiado fatal. Porque nosotros éramos unas personas ricas en todas capacidades y en todos los sentidos. Ricas en todos los sentidos. Y de repente, por un gobierno loco, un legado loco, Chávez era Chávez, mano, pero un legado loco que dejó, nos está llevando a la ruina, mano. Hambre, necesidad, sin medicina, sin dinero, todo muy elevado, sin efectivo. Con el hambre no se juega, mano.
Hay personas que piensan que los venezolanos no quieren trabajar porque están acostumbrados de recibir o aceptar lo que les dé lo que les dé en el gobierno. ¿Qué piensas tú si eso es la situación y si no, cómo es?
Esos son venezolanos flojos, como diríamos acá, porque nosotros no nos hace falta ni un bono, ni una tarjeta mensual que nos den ellos a nosotros, porque nosotros estamos acostumbrados todos los días del mundo a pararnos a las 7 de la mañana a trabajar, porque el venezolano es trabajador, el venezolano es constante, perseverante en sus cosas, lo que quiere lo puede obtener, pero trabajando. Eso de ahorita que están haciendo ellos es poner a la gente floja, poner a un país flojo a no trabajar, y eso lo que hace es que el AMPA abunde y crezca más.
¿Qué sería el sueldo mensual para el venezolano y cómo se puede sobrevivir con este sueldo?
Ve, voy a ser muy sincero con ustedes acá. No quiero ni decirles cuánto es el sueldo, porque no alcanza para nada, mano. Para nada alcanza. Eso no alcanza para nada porque, vamos a hacer un ejemplo, un padre de familia con 4 hijos, ¿cómo sobrevive con un piche miserable sueldo acá? No sobrevive. Porque tienes que mandarlo a la escuela, no hay efectivo para mandarlo a la escuela, tienes que sobrevivir, comprar una comida, comprar con ese piche sueldo comida para un mes. ¿Cómo se compra? Es imposible. Entonces hacen aumentar el sueldo y sube todo. De nada sirve aumentar el sueldo porque todo se eleva. Por eso es que una de las cosas que los venezolanos se van de nuestro país para buscar una vida mejor y una nueva oportunidad en el extranjero, porque aquí, mano, esto está fatal. No se puede sobrevivir con un sueldo mínimo, pues. No se puede, es fatal.
And predictably, we were accosted by the police, who stopped our filming and demanded to see our documents. Shaken but not hindered, we jumped on the bus and headed to the next site. And inevitably, with every excursion, there are those who will step out of line. Fortunately, the Code of Conduct, albeit the Riot Act, was read by the no-nonsense Spanish teacher.
When we went in the museum, it was basically like a framework of how families were. It was amazing because you could see like pictures and all the old traditional clothing, the machetes back in the day, the guns, everything. Because in Venezuela, from what I realized, it's family rich, it's culture rich.
After lunch and on the way to our next stop, I noticed several communities with lines that stretched around the block. Further inquiry revealed that this site pervades all of Margarita. Thousands of people line up to be handed rations of basic food items and detergent by the government. They first need to present a welfare card, and under heavy police guard, they receive their weekly ration.
I particularly like the Restinga, which is a boat ride along the lagoon, because I think it's a very calming experience. Within the actual ride, there are signs in Spanish that the students get an opportunity to take note of, and in the same breath, it's also fun. So they look forward to it and they're enjoying it. And one of the things I sell when I sell the trip is that visit to La Restinga and that canoe boat ride.
Laguna de la Restinga is a large salt lagoon, rich in fish and bird life. It is on the Ramsar list of wetlands of international importance. The park lies between the eastern part of Margarita Island and the Macanao Peninsula, which is connected only by a thin strip of land. The park was created by government decree and covers over 26,000 acres. It is one of the island's foremost tourist attractions. When we return, 130 St. Lucians descend on the flea market. Students attend nighttime classes. And later,
Had the time of my life.
Dear HIV,
I may have gotten you,
but you will never, ever get the best of me.
I take charge of my health.
I take my HIV meds every day, and because of this, my baby is HIV negative.
HIV treatment works. Get in care.
Stay in care.
Live well.
A message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Life is a series of triumphs and trials. The circle of life has all the usual certainties and, of course, the unpredictable. Just one can affect you and your loved ones. Sadly, many fail to prepare for the unforeseen. Thankfully, we've been here for over 138 years, helping you plan and recover. We offer peace of mind at that critical moment. GTM Insurance, sound, solid, and reliable. Call us today at 458-6300 or log on to gtminsurance.net.
It's day 4 of a 5-day excursion to Margarita Island, a tiny department of Venezuela. 130 students, teachers, and a handful of private tourists are on a language and cultural exchange in a country plagued by high inflation, political instability, and a socialist regime. The students have left the hotel with the best Spanish, some bolivars mixed with US dollars, and will today practice the language in its authentic setting.
the interacting, I knew how to do it because when it comes to shopping, like in school, like, you know, using the context, the terms, the sentences, that was my strength.
5 por 50, incluido descuento.
Dile que yo se la daba en
Señor,
15 dólares.
señor, ¿cuánto cuesta?
Me envió 4, me dio 50, me lo quiero.
¿Cuánto cuesta?
And majority of what I was shopping for, I was looking for discounts and sales because it's cheap here, so I wanted a lot for my money.
The Venezuelan financial system is completely isolated from the rest of the world. The exchange control system in Venezuela prohibits making any kind of payment between a bank account abroad and one inside the country, or to use local credit cards abroad or online without the approval from the Commission of Foreign Exchange Administration. As a result, a black market has developed for foreign currencies which are priced at a significant premium to the official exchange rate because of its high demand. For example, buying US dollars is not simple in Venezuela, regardless of the high demand. And spending US is also a hazard, as nearly every vendor is determined to use the most unbalanced exchange rate to depocket unsuspecting students. But this trip was more than just for fun.
I
was ready.
Okay. ¿Qué tenía? ¿Qué tipo de quesadilla de queso, de carne, de pollo?
Hablando de la comida indígena. ¿Entiendes la diferencia?
And Miss Comida, what is the next
Cachara.
Black?
The black lady. And that's in the statue. In which statue? I actually did this.
On day number 5, there was a special enthusiasm to get on the bus. Five days of new memories. 5 days of being fully immersed in the Spanish language, culture, dance, history, food, and commerce. 5 days to understand the socio-economic climate of a fellow Caribbean island. And as the students filed back into the airport, for many, it was with a renewed desire to pursue Spanish not just for exam purposes, but for life. For the parents and teachers who made it possible, it solidified the notion that field trip experiences remain most prominent in formative years. They spur engagement, reinforcement, socialization, exposure, curiosity, bonding, and retention. For our film crew, it was a momentous and monumental challenge. But in the end, someone had to be there to tell the untold story of me, them, and Margarita.
Full
has never been.